Welcome back to another episode of At the Bar. You get a chance to sit down with athletes and talk about health and fitness and mindset. I'm Brad Marshall, and today I get a chance to sit down with Arik McGathey. So, Arik, thanks for joining us today.
Happy to be here.
Arik, we like to kick it off here by helping folks get to know you a little bit better. So, I'm going to kick it over to you and just tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Arik McGathey. I'm a coach. So started out CrossFit, coaching friends, got into some CrossFit gyms, and then really took a deep dive into the nutrition world. So that's mainly where I live now, is doing online nutrition coaching. And a huge side of that is the mindset, the psychology of, how to change, which that goes even deeper. So yeah, that's me right now.
Well, I'm excited to dive into each one of those pieces a little bit more. So let's start with you just telling us a little bit more about what has your health and fitness journey been like, playing sports or workouts or exercise habits you've had. Just tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, I always played sports. My older sister was like high level softball player. So I, spent our summers in the car driving around to watching their tournaments, watching them practice constantly. My brother did all kinds of sports, soccer, cross country, rugby. So I don't know. I know that as a kid, I remember thinking that we were like a family of freaks, which maybe that gets into the mindset stuff, where like I believed I could beat anyone anytime.
Mm-hmm.
So going into sports in like grade school, high school, I don't know, that was my mentality. Like I was born for this. So, in high school, went to a small high school. So everyone played everything. So we played soccer, basketball, baseball, played some college soccer. And just as I finished playing soccer, I did a little bit of rugby, and then that's when I found CrossFit. And my brother, he had been powerlifting, so someone sent him to CrossFit.com. All of a sudden, he lost like 40 pounds and was getting starting to catch up to my mile time. I was like, all right, I better jump on this train to make sure I stay faster than he does. So yeah, from there I started doing it in our college locker room or weight room, just following .com, the old school way. And then, friends were like, hey, can I come work out with you? I'm like, okay, like I'm not a trainer, but you can work out with me. And that's where it started. And that was 2011, I think. So it's been a while. Yeah. I'm a much better coach now.
It's funny when you first get into something, I think there's such a level of excitement around it, something new and challenging and different. And I know I've experienced that myself. So being sort of, if you want to call it the OGs in that space, talk to us about these last, 9 years? Have you still stayed in that same space, or is the style of training and the way that you personally stay fit changed or evolved over time as well?
Oh, definitely evolved. Man, I used to just follow .com, and at that time they had a video every day with the workout of like people at different boxes around the country doing the workout and showing how they're doing it. And I was like, I don't know, they got like 135 and they're just doing push press. I can do that. I could not do that. But yeah, for probably 4 or 5 years, like I was just going hard at that. And then someone put it in my head that like, dude, you could probably make regionals if you focused on it. Right. So then the mindset shifted, because if you read all of the original CrossFit.com articles and watched the videos, it was health. Like you're training to be healthy, and all of these different measurements of fitness and health are all the same thing. Like, your blood pressure and your deadlift are both measures of your overall health. Then when I started thinking, competing, now all of a the way I'm eating is changing and the way I'm training is changing. And I did that for a couple of years. And then it really started to hit me that like, I'm not sleeping great. Maybe I don't have to work out twice a day, you know? And then, you know, you have a break or something where now you start to realize like, I'm almost addicted to it. I feel like I'm going to lose something if I'm not in that, you know, in the gym every day, multiple times, like on top of this stuff. And it's kind of awesome to take that break, be forced out, and then come back and you're like, oh, I'm still pretty much just as strong and just as fast. And like, well, that's weird. Maybe I don't have to deadlift every week and squat every day. You know, and so now it's like come full circle where I can be on my porch and just have rings and kettlebells and do that for 6 months and then go into a gym and I could still like snatch the same weight. You know, like you start to realize all of these things work, which is a nice place to be.
Yeah, and it seems like, based on what you said, finding what brings you some joy or what you actually want to engage in, but then at the same time, mixing it up and finding some different approaches. If you just kind of hit the same thing over and over, it might be exciting at first, and then maybe lose a little bit of its luster over time, but finding new and different ways to challenge yourself really does push your fitness and pushes you to a level maybe you weren't sure you could get to.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. Fun is like, that's probably 80% of it.
Yeah.
If you find something that's fun, you're going to get fit.
Yeah. And I find that talking with former athletes, that seems to be the reason that they engage in some sort of fitness regimen or some sort of methodology is, hey, I'm excited to compete again or try and put it all out there again. And that works for a certain amount of time. Maybe it works for a long time, but sooner or later they realize, hey, there's some other benefits that I can derive from this. So is that something that you kind of experienced in your own life?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I think the shift of, you know, how are you defining competition? Because that, I think a lot of former athletes are looking for that competitiveness and wanting to win. You know, and whether it's, you know, joining a sports league or being in a CrossFit gym and you want to be the first one done or have the most reps or whatever. Yeah, that lasts for a while, but at some point someone better walks in, like, you know, you aren't always going to win. And so redefining like that competition and redefining it as fun, like seeing, you know, as a kid, you don't start playing sports because you want to win. It's because you're playing with your friends and it's fun. Yeah. And then it, you know, at some point it shifts to like, we need to win because this is competitive. Mm-hmm. And at some point you need to like shift it back to the other end of the spectrum, or at least toward the other end of the spectrum of, I'm doing this because this is a lot of fun.
Yeah. So maybe give us a little bit of insight into how do you define competition or fun in your world? So how have you come to know it and have that level of enjoyment in fitness for you now?
Ooh. For me now, I think it's more like experimenting. You know, so like I said, you know, being off for like 6 months or a year outside of a gym, just using kettlebells and rings, then you really get back to like, you know, how can I challenge myself this way? Like the other day I was doing squats with, you know, 2 kettlebells and a band like over my shoulders. You know, like how can you start to change things up? You know, doing like skin the cats and different rings and gymnastic skills, starting to add those things in, you know, just playing, you know, like you don't necessarily need this specific program that you're following exactly because it's not magic. You know, the best program is the one you believe in. So if you're out there and doing stuff that you know is fitness, that you're moving your body, you're like kind of testing your limits, you're going to get fit. And, that opens it up so much to what things fall under, what is a workout.
Yeah. I think that's so fascinating. And when you look at not just CrossFit, but other different forms of fitness, it's that form of challenge. It's like, if I can't do something, what do I have to do, or how do I continue to progress towards hitting whatever that goal is, or whatever that movement is, or that number is that I'm trying to work towards. And having that fun in the process is what's going to keep you consistent. Because if you're just trying to hit a certain number or a certain score, and if you're not hitting it, then that's where I think we start getting to that burnout where you're like, well, I'm just done. And then you just fall behind, versus like, let me find a new or different way to have some fun in the space. So I think it's a cool way to look at it.
Yeah, because, if your goal is only that number and you don't hit that number, it's not a lot of fun.
Yeah. So something I'm curious to hear your perspective on too is, so we've gotten the physical side of fitness, but this nutritional piece. And I think when you look at the CrossFit, like you talked about it in its original format, that is the base of the pyramid. That's the most important component, is nutrition. It's often neglected. So talk to us a little bit about, how did you get interested in nutrition, or come to learn more about it now that you coach folks on it?
Oh man. Well, the biggest thing was coaching people in a gym for, seeing them there for a couple of years, coming in 5 days a week, crushing their workouts, and like, they're stronger, they're faster, but their body composition just wasn't changing. And, if the exercise is there, you're putting in the time and the effort, the only other thing is the fuel coming in. So I started digging into that, found a program through Precision Nutrition, which they're excellent. Like, check them out. They put out tons of great info. So I got into that, got certified, and really started deep diving. And, and that's something too, that there are a lot of very strict beliefs. And this is, again, just how you can say, what is a workout? What counts as a workout? The same thing kind of goes for nutrition, where it doesn't have to be 100% strict paleo, counting your macros exactly. But if it's better than it was yesterday, like, awesome. You don't have to be 6% body fat bodybuilder. If you are living a lifestyle that you enjoy, you're getting to have the things you want and look and feel the way you want, that you're like okay with, then do it.
Yeah, and I think that's such an important choice or decision people make, because they're trying to find, you want to call it the quick fix, or what's new, or what do I have, what can I go all in on? And they do it for a little bit, and maybe they hit one extreme, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But then if the consistency is not there, you're going to fall off and not achieve sort of the goals that you'd like. So from your experience of, whether personally or working with folks, what are some things that you've seen be really helpful when it comes to folks finding or working with a nutrition coach who's going to help them and guide them along the way?
Biggest thing, honestly, is the mindset. If you can start to shift, because a lot of times we talk about food as good food, bad food, but pizza isn't bad. Pizza every single night, like, if you are making pizza a staple of your diet every day, then your habit might not be great, right? But these things all land on a continuum. So being able to see things that way, that's what opens people's minds up to, like, I can do this. Maybe instead of eating Little Caesars every night, I am making my own crust and, putting fresh ingredients on top, and then from there, I'm going to, just incrementally shift it a little bit better, a little bit closer to my end goal versus going from one end to this end.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing it all on a continuum where you can just make little incremental steps versus you have to eliminate all these things and you can only eat these things. Like that does not end well.
It's so fascinating because I think, like you mentioned earlier too, when you think about the concept of behavior change and the psychology around it, we know big, huge shifts and swings, not necessarily the most sustainable or helpful methods. So I think what you're talking about there is that when you get these small little bite-sized chunks, like, hey, let's just try and do one thing different today and see how it goes. Okay, great. Maybe it went well, maybe it didn't. Now we shift again. It sounds like that's sort of an approach that you found working with your clients.
Oh yeah. Yep. You say 1% better. If you can be 1% better every day, you're going to hit your goals without a doubt, and anything is better than nothing.
Yeah.
There's we call it the all or nothing mentality of I have to be 100% on or I'm 100% off.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you just do one little thing, you eat like one handful of spinach today that you haven't in the past, that's better.
And I feel like that's such a really important message, especially during this quarantine phase when everybody's figuring out what is this new routine and these new habits. And there's times where you're like, man, I was so great and I was on it with my diet or my exercise, and now my world's been thrown into chaos and maybe I'm not where I want to be with that, but letting people know that's okay. We're just looking for small habits or small decisions that make that change.
Yep. Yeah, that's why I've been posting on my Instagram and on Facebook 1-minute workouts.
Mm-hmm.
So if every hour, at the beginning of every hour, you do 1 minute of, we change it up each day. So yesterday was push-ups. So throughout the day, at the top of every hour, you do 1 minute of push-ups. Throughout the day, if you do that for 8 hours, 8 minutes of like AMRAP push-ups, that's awesome. You put in burpees or sit-ups or whatever, you change it up each day. Those tiny little things, that's going to add up, and that just keeps you moving when we're all like confined. It's hard to get those 10,000 steps.
Right. It's been fun to see how I think people are kind of going back to having some fun in their fitness now. Like they're finding things around the house to pick up and put down. They're going out in the backyard. They're walking around the neighborhood. And people are sort of reconnecting to that form of just like, hey, it's okay to just move in any way, shape, or form. And that's going to be great for today.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was out with my girls this morning. My 4-year-old wanted me to dance while she was like the audience. So we're just out there doing cartwheels and somersaults. Yeah. Those are my dance moves, practicing some handstands.
Yeah. Which is amazing then too, when you think about the concept of fitness, the ability to go out there with your kids and execute or, do some of these moves. Like, yeah, that's great. That's what a lifestyle and different habits provide you.
Yeah.
When you think about this concept of mindset, I know you've talked a couple of times about how important that is, whether it's the fitness side or the nutrition side. Talk to us a little bit about maybe how your mindset has been impacted through your health and fitness journey. You talked about as an athlete, you had that competitive mindset, kind of came full circle with that. Anything else you've noticed about yourself when you think about the perspective you take, the way you think about things, just your ability to develop confidence or focus or overcome stressful or challenging moments? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, I think one huge mindset is realizing everything works for somebody. Nothing works for everybody. So when you're approaching, nutrition or workouts, what you usually hear is, this worked awesome for me. You should do it too, which is totally fine. Like, give it a try, but realize that if it doesn't work for you, that's not the most surprising thing. So giving people if you can open up your mindset that there is not one single magic tool. So then you have space to explore, and just, like I said, have fun, enjoy things. Because I have been in the mindset where, like I said, if I'm not doing this thing, you start to think I'm going to become unhealthy. I'm going to lose my fitness. And that was a good thing for me, to be in that space and be able to realize that I'm still healthy and fit. Like, these were not magic bullets. It's the consistency over the long term that really, really makes the difference. Like, that is health, is what you do consistently over a long period of time.
Yeah. I think that's such a challenging thing, is to help people play the marathon versus the sprint, because it's always like, I want to get in a certain amount of shape for this month or this event in my life or whatever it is. And so we're just focused on just like this next 8 weeks or whatever it is, instead of just like, hey, how do we play the long game and set ourselves up to be successful over the long term? So how have you done to maybe do that? Because it sounds like you're playing the long game, your health and fitness, and trying different things and exploring and having fun. So how do you play the long game?
Ooh. It's like I said, that consistency, habits, that's really what it comes down to. What is your minimum? Like, what is your absolute bottom line of, I'm going to maintain this no matter what? So whatever that is, like, I'm going to do some sort of exercise this many days a week, or, commit at least 10 minutes every day to this. It's having a smoothie every day, or, this many servings of vegetables every day. Because once you figure out what that baseline is, you can keep that going indefinitely, right? It's something that you can do no matter what happens, whether you're in quarantine or sick or traveling on vacation, whatever. Like, these are the baseline habits that you have. So that's why pretty much always I coach people for 12 months.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if how long did it take you to get to where you are now? Probably, like, usually it's like 5, 10, 20 years. All right. Will you be okay taking 1 year instead of like a month? Don't expect it to take 1 month. Give yourself a little bit more time to really focus and, like, get these habits deeply ingrained, because that's where the magic happens, is in habits and routine.
Yeah, I love what you're saying there, especially around those two concepts, habits and routines. And we're seeing a lot in books and podcasts and things like that talk about how important consistent habits are, and then that can allow us to grow and develop at a much more rapid rate than these massive shifts. So I appreciate that. I want to make a little bit of a transition here. Something we like doing is sort of if you want to call it a lightning round. So ask you just some questions here and just go top of the head with some of the answers that apply for you in your health and fitness. So the first one is, what would you say is your favorite movement or exercise?
Ooh, favorite? It's sprints.
Oh, sprints.
Oh man, you can do them anywhere, anytime, and they are just brutal on every part of your body.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Don't do them enough, I'll tell you that. How about your favorite snack or treat?
You're going to love this. So what I'll do is, this is like so much fat. It's great. Scoop of peanut butter, scoop of coconut oil, and like melt them together, mix it up, maybe add some honey, and then sometimes it's like a handful of nuts, or like trail mix, like nuts and raisins mixed in there. and then pour some milk on top. So
Ooh.
then the coconut oil gets hard. You like break it up into chunks.
I've not heard.
So good.
I'm going to try that one now. How about, what is your favorite time of day to work out or move?
During the winter, early morning, as soon as I wake up. So like 5:36. In the summer, midday.
Yeah.
I like to be out in the sun.
Yeah. All right. How about one habit that you find to be the most impactful habit of your day?
Ooh, one habit. I think probably the best habit is shopping.
Mm.
I think that because if you are in the habit of shopping a certain way, then like the rest of your nutrition is taken care of.
Yeah.
Because you've got what you need and you don't have what you don't want.
Yeah. I like it. I feel like some people's minds just immediately went to, yes, I can go online shopping and just get stuff.
Yeah. Not on Amazon.
All right. So Eric, I want to give you essentially like the final word here, and I like to give our guests the final thought. So, if somebody is interested in improving their health and fitness journey or mindset, whatever it might be, what is something that you might say to somebody, or something that you would use as an encouragement to kind of either keep them along the path or help them get started on maybe a little bit of a different course than what they're currently on?
Man, it's what we have talked about. It is being 1% better. So you give yourself that grace, understand that you do not have to be perfect, and what other people are doing is not what you have to do. Like the Instagram models, their life is not your life. Well, you have, think about where you want to be. What are the things that are most important to you that you want to maintain them. The things that you're okay changing, start changing those incrementally, 1% at a time. Give yourself, plenty of time to work through that process, because it is a process, man. There's loss and grieving. You're going to lose these routines and habits that you've had for who knows how long, and you're going to gain a lot of new ones. So it's a big psychological change. So give yourself the space to make that change. Just take it one step at a time, 1% better every day.
Yeah, I like that. The kind of a mantra of 1% better every day, and working with somebody who's going to help you through that process, because there's going to be a lot of uncertainty and a lot of things that might surprise you or kick you off your game. And so having somebody to walk along that path with you can be really powerful. So,
absolutely.
Eric, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. It was great.
If anyone wants to catch up with you or connect with you, where would you say is the best way to do that?
My website is fittothrivenutrition.com, all spelled out, or my Instagram, which is just my name, Arik McGathey, ARIK MCGATHEY.
Awesome. Well, once again, appreciate you being on here with us today. And if you enjoyed our episode today, feel free to like and subscribe as we continue to bring you more conversations with athletes as we talk about health and fitness and mindset. So thanks all for joining us today. Thanks, Eric.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, Brad.